mid-90s, with The Simpsons at the peak of its popularity, and still a few years away from its eventual death, spoiler alert, Fox approached Matt Groening to create a new series for the network. Having already dissected the American family with The Simpsons, Matt Groening wanted to create a show that embodied everything he loved about the science fiction genre. He enlisted the help of David S. Cohen, also known as David X. Cohen, who was then a writer-producer on The Simpsons. What they created became Futurama, named after an exhibit and ride at the 1939 New York World's Fair, which presented a possible model of the world 20 years into the future. Futurama follows the adventures of slacker Philip J. Fry, who is cryogenically frozen and revived 1,000 years later in New York, as he travels the galaxy as a delivery boy alongside Leela, Bender, and the rest of the Planet Express crew. Now, it'd be easy to compare Futurama to The Simpsons. After all, they both share a number of creative staff, an artistic style, and a sense of humor, but it's where Futurama differs from The Simpsons that really highlights what makes the show so special. Futurama is a show heavily rooted in science.
Hail science!
And I'm not talking about the surface-level science jargon that can be found in any piece of science fiction. Futurama is bursting with equations, theorems, and scenarios that are based on actual science. You can watch any episode and see main storylines, or tiny details in the background that point to the writer's enthusiasm and passion for science and mathematics. Futurama is often touted for having one of the most highly educated writing staffs ever assembled. Here's just a few of their academic resumes. Ken Keeler has a PhD in applied mathematics, Bill Odenkirk has a PhD in inorganic chemistry, Jeff Westbrook has a PhD in computer science, J. Stewart Burns has a master's degree in mathematics, and David Cohen has a master's degree in computer science. Between all the writers, they held 3 PhDs, 7 master's degrees, and cumulatively more than 50 years at Harvard University.
Oh, nerds!
Futurama became this perfect petri dish where comedy, science, and mathematics could work together in tandem. A number of storylines revolved around high-concept ideas like space travel, time travel, parallel universes, reanimation, alien life, and artificial intelligence. For instance, the episode The Farnsworth Parabox, where Professor Farnsworth creates a parallel universe in a box, is backed by string theory, a theoretical framework in quantum mechanics that envisions multiple dimensions and possible parallel universes. There's also the episode Benderama, where Bender makes 2 smaller copies of himself, and then the smaller Benders make their own copies in an infinite series until all of Earth's resources are threatened. This scenario is actually based on a doomsday scenario referred to as Grey Goo.
What's with the gray goo? Bite my tiny metal ass!
Which was first proposed by author and nanotechnology expert K. Eric Drexler in his book, Engines of Creation, The Coming Era of Nanotechnology. In the episode, Professor Farnsworth's device is called Banach-Tarski dupla shrinker, which comes from the Banach-Tarski paradox theorem in mathematics, which proposes that a 3-dimensional sphere, also known as a 3-ball, can be decomposed into a finite number of pieces, which can then be reassembled into 2 duplicates. But perhaps the most striking example is found in the episode The Prisoner of Benda. In the episode, Professor Farnsworth and Amy build a machine that allows them to switch minds, but they then learn that the machine cannot be used twice on the same pairing of bodies to switch back. So they must involve others into the equation in order for everyone to be able to successfully switch back. Writer Ken Keeler, who again has a PhD in applied mathematics from Harvard, devised a proof just for this episode, which can be seen on a holographic blackboard in the episode, in order to set things right and put each character back in their original body. This equation has since become known as the Futurama theorem, and the brilliantly constructed episode even earned Keeler a WGA award. Another way that Futurama differs from The Simpsons is that Futurama is more character-driven, while The Simpsons is more plot-driven. Sitcoms, or situation comedies, are often plot-driven. The week-to-week situation is what drives every episode. You have the same cast of characters dealing with some kind of situation, and by the end of the episode, everything is back to normal. The slate is usually wiped clean. In the world of The Simpsons, very little has ever changed. That's why after 30 years, Bart Simpson is still 10 years old. Now, of course, Futurama follows many of the same sitcom tropes, with a different wacky situation each episode, but what made Futurama feel more character-driven were the changes, arcs, and ongoing storylines that spanned the run of the show. Fry coping with the loss of his loved ones back in the 20th century, Fry and Leela's romantic relationship, Leela's origin and parents, and even the real reason why Fry was cryogenically frozen were some of the storylines that spanned episodes and entire seasons. Taking time to thoroughly examine these situations from a character perspective created surprisingly emotional and heartfelt episodes.
I'm naming you Philip J. Fry in honor of my little brother, who I miss every day.
If you ask someone to name their favorite Futurama episodes, you'd almost universally hear the episodes Luck of the Fryrish and Jurassic Bark mentioned at the top of the list. And that's because of the emotional resonance that was built up by the characters, specifically Fry. On the surface, Fry just seemed like another typical one-note dumb character.
I'll show ye.
But the writers, along with voice actor Billy West, were able to create a multifaceted character that had the capacity to grieve loss and thoughtfully reflect on the important relationships in his life. The Devil's Hands or Idle Playthings is a perfect example of the heartfelt, emotional resonance that Futurama was able to employ.
Please don't stop playing, Fry. I want to hear how it ends.
It was a beautiful, though bittersweet final note for Futurama before Fox finally canceled the show due to poor ratings in August of 2003. The same year it was canceled, Cartoon Network picked up the syndication rights to Futurama and Family Guy, another show that Fox canceled. And just like Family Guy, the run on Adult Swim helped Futurama reach a new audience and gain support for a revival. Now, in the current day and age of Netflix, revivals don't seem like such a big deal. Seemingly every show has a second or third chance on a different network or a streaming platform. But back in 2003, a show being brought back from the dead after years of cancellation just didn't happen. But that's exactly what happened 5 years later when Comedy Central produced 4 straight-to-DVD movies, starting with Bender's Big Score, and then followed by The Beast with a Billion Backs, Bender's Game, and Into the Wild Green Yonder. And though these movies weren't as good as the original series run, stretching half-hour sitcom ideas to a 90-minute runtime doesn't help. It was thrilling to just see something new from Futurama. And after the 4 direct-to-DVD movies, Futurama finally returned to television over at Comedy Central in 2010. But with some of the original writing staff having left the show, and the loss of creative momentum over years of cancellation, Futurama just never seemed to regain the same consistency of excellence week in and week out, like the seasons over at Fox. A lot of the storylines began to retread on tired ground, or were just an amalgamation of scattered thoughts and ideas thrown together. And even though Futurama continued to do what all good science fiction does, by using the future to shine a light on issues of today, the satire in the later seasons came off more heavy-handed than the nuanced approach of the earlier seasons. Some of the lowest lows were in the 3-parter episodes, like the Futurama Holiday Spectacular, Naturama, and Saturday Morning Fun Pit. Really, any one of these episodes could serve as the day Futurama died. They were the complete opposite of what made Futurama special. They were more plot-driven, with sitcom tropes that were kind of meaningless, as opposed to character-driven, with emotional resonance that mattered to the world of the show. The final 2 seasons were marred with mediocre episodes, but there were still fantastic episodes sprinkled throughout that highlighted Futurama's best attributes. The episodes The Late Philip J. Fry, Game of Tones, and Meanwhile are some of the best episodes of the entire series, and that's because they were able to balance science fiction elements with emotional resonance from the characters. And just like The Devil's Hands or Idle Playthings, Meanwhile served as another elegant ending for the series, bringing the core relationship of the show to an emotional and satisfying conclusion. It feels a little more final to me. I think we really hit the right tone, at least for what I was looking for on this most recent last episode ever, Meanwhile. It's a somewhat crazy time travel story that involves a lot of very short trips, 10 seconds back in time, over and over again, but at the same time, it's a very touching story about Fry and Leela. It strikes a very nice tone, a balance between crazy sci-fi and actual emotion. If it really is the last episode ever, and I think it will be, then I feel pretty proud of how it ended. The clever aspect of Futurama's finale is that, in a way, it's not a finale. It's a beginning. When Professor Farnsworth invites Fry and Leela an opportunity to go back and do it all over again, it's also an invitation for the audience to go back and watch the entire series all over again. It's cyclical, never-ending, and the perfect final episode of such a beloved, if at times flawed, series.
What do you say? Want to go around again?
I do.
And because of that, I think that Futurama is still alive today. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching.
In the DC Comics universe, which introduced us to the idea of the dark multiverse and evil Batman. We've taken all of our one-shots and tie-ins and we've placed them where we think that they fit into the main storyline. But while you're watching this massive video, Keep in mind that each of these videos came out differently a week, sometimes a month apart. So my voices might not be accurate, or there may be slight changes in the way we're doing it. Overall, you're gonna get the idea very soon, so enjoy the epic comic historian metal event!
There's a feeling that you get at the beginning of an adventure. You feel it in your veins, the channels. Your heart starts pounding, beating only for discovery. My name is Carter Hall, and this is my journal. I've lived many lives, and I will always remember that night as I saw the mighty ship crash landing, the beginning of the greatest mystery in mankind. It was written in metal. In the current day, the lava licks and jumps to the side of the research facility as something is leaping out of it. That's when we see a batsuit carrying Batman through the lava itself into the lab. The stunned doctor can't get any other words other than, Batman? Batman dives back into the lava carrying the scientist as his suit is calling out, temperatures too great, suit will not hold. And Batman yells out, compensate, damn it! As it explodes, Aquaman is swimming through the oceans with dolphins. Batman throws the doctor to Aquaman, telling him to get him out of here. And then he turns back to go deeper to retrieve his data card. As the survivors are brought onto the surface to safety, Aquaman looks at Batman. This was a Black Ops Wayne Enterprises location. What were you hiding, Batman? What were you hiding from me? What were you researching? Meanwhile, over at Mogo, home of the Green Lanterns, the Guardians inform Green Lantern Hal Jordan that they're picking up something on Earth that he needs to look into. He looks at the globe and he knows that something is wrong. They're sending him to the Batcave. He arrives and he's kicked by Duke, the newest trainee of Batman. Of course, it doesn't take much for Hal Jordan to grab Duke and hold him still while he explains that he is here because Batman is hiding something. Duke isn't exactly happy that Hal is combing through the cave, but what do you do to stop a Green Lantern? What Hal finds is a holographic wall and a hidden door, which he promptly enters. Meanwhile, somewhere else in a place called the campus, two individuals are looking at a screen with the mother of Duke Thomas on it. A man with longer hair explains that her name is Elaine Thomas, and he gave her an offer to join a battle that has stretched to the dawn of time, to live forever, but she denied him. The man in the hoodie asks the immortal man why he's going over memory lane. Immortal man that explains that Elaine was reactivated a few weeks ago. He was worried that she would reveal their secrets, but it seems that she is crazy from the Joker toxin injection. Immortal man is happy with these results because no one can know what he's doing until he saves the multiverse. Back in the Carter Hall journals, he explains that the ship was made of nth metal. It gave him and his wife Shira the ability to reincarnate, and their enemy Hathset the same ability. They were reborn hundreds of times, their powers resulting from this mystery metal. Carter always wondered if there was more to this metal and its origins. And as we pan on a giant statue of Batman, one with body strapped to its legs and giant robotic spotlights looking over a burning city, Carter pondered if the nth metal was linked to something darker, terrifying, a nightmare that echoes through the metal. Batman teleports into a lab where he finds Mr. Terrific. He asks him if he's told anyone on either Earth that he visits about them working together, and Mr. Terrific tells him no. If you're curious, Mr. Terrific is actually from Earth 2. He travels between the Prime Earth and Earth 2 to assist where he's needed. As he sits down with the data in front of him, he tells Batman that while he may be the smartest man in some universes, he can't make hide nor tails of this data. So Batman tells him, I need to do something, and I'll need you to run scans on some molecules that I've extracted from a subject. The subject is too volatile to be on the loose, so he was locked away. It's time to let him out of the box. He opens the door and Mr. Terrific smiles. You're damn right it is. And inside, an egg-shaped machine with a diamond on it appears. Back in the Batcave, Hal lights the way in the secret room, commenting that only Batman would have a secret cave in his secret cave. What is this place? Then a voice, a cracking, nasty, demented voice, speaks up. Oh, I can clear that up for you. Hal looks at Duke and Duke snaps, I didn't say anything. So he asks the ring, how many life signatures are here? And the ring malfunctions. Hal looks at it. This doesn't make any sense. Why would it? A mystery never makes sense at first. And Duke asks, mystery? And the voice continues, oh yes, our friend with the pointy ears has been following it for years. Duke and Hal look around to see all of the relics on display in the world that contain mystery. The Court of the Owl's Tooth, Dr. Fate's helmet, Aquaman's trident, Wonder Woman's bracers. And the voice continues. It all started with a tooth, a metal tooth that could bring back the dead. You see, the metal shouldn't be able to do that. And Batman had to know what it was and what was in it. So he extracted something from it, a strange substance that he had never seen before, and he couldn't explain. You can feel the power from it, right? That power consumed him. What was that strange metal? And what was its connection to the Court of the Owls? He formed a team, a Black Ops team, the Outsiders, to go out and find any information on this metal. Hal's been tinkering with his ring, and he tells Duke, we need to leave. I've been all over the galaxy and my ring has never done this. Oh, no, you can't do that! I've been dying for a chance to see you both face to face. We're all connected, you see. I was hoping someone would come meddling. It's been so lonely down here. Duke and Hal look on and they see a container holding green liquid. The next part is about Dynesium. It has to do with the metal. It's in its liquid form. But he wasn't the only one who found it, was he? And Duke realizes what's going on. No. He simply says that while Hal is freaking out asking, who are you? Oh, you see, Batman started to put the pieces together like I did. Hal and Duke look in front of them to see a massive door and the voice continues. If you two are so very brave, just open the door. Back in Carter Hall's story, he explained that he studied the nymph metal for years, trying to unlock its secrets. But this was something far beyond his understanding, so he dug deeper and deeper until he was able to put together the mystery. It all began with the 3 tribes, or rather, 4 tribes. The hidden Bat tribe was something else, something bigger, something beyond his control, and he needed to know more. Over at the Fortress of Solitude, Batman arrived calling out Clark. You see, a long time ago, Batman locked something away in the Fortress of Solitude. Something that he didn't want to have access to. And he didn't want Superman questioning, so Superman agreed to lock it away. In order to open that lock, Batman brought along Mr. Miracle, one of the new gods, and someone with the ability to open up any lock. Once he opened up the door, Batman walked into the room, and in front of him was a giant golden tower spewing dark energy. And the rest of the chapter from Carter Hall continued. I wish I could go back to that moment and warn myself. I write this journal for anyone foolish enough to pick up my trail. Whatever you do, do not follow in my footsteps. And just like that, Batman pulls up his computer telling it to trace the dark energy. He can finally see where it's coming from. You see, some doors are meant to remain closed because behind them, you'll only find horror. As Hal Jordan and Duke both walk into the room that Batman locked away so carefully, they see a man in a black suit and green hair. This is a mystery that stretches to the dawn of time. It's bigger than all of us, and it sure as hell is bigger than you, Mr. Green Lantern. You don't understand. All of that was just a cruel joke. You're just a couple of pieces in Batman's puzzle, like me. Carter Hall's journal continues telling the tale of how he and Shira brought together the Immortals, individuals who were never meant to be together. And through lightning and the metal, the truth would be seen. Meanwhile, Batman moved to his next location, and with the help of Wonder Woman, she walks him into an area that he shouldn't be, to speak with the blacksmith of the gods. Diana tells him that the gods have fled the earth. They believe a war is coming and they've left. So she hands him a Sunblade, a sword imbued with the power of the sun. But back in the Batcave, the Joker stands behind his electrical field, keeping him from Duke and Hal Jordan. Duke tells Hal that they should leave. This is Batman's thing, and the Joker asks him, oh, Dookie boy, are you upset that I poisoned your parents? Duke reaches into the electrical field, and the Joker leaps back. As the field hits Duke, Hal reaches for him, and it shocks the both of them. I haven't had this much fun in ages! That's how it started, you know. A bit of fun. I cut my own face off and thought I'd kill his whole family. Get rid of the kids. Rekindle the romance. The old flame. But as it turns out, he likes the brats. So here I was, tumbling into the deepest corner of the Batcave, and splash! I have to admit, I thought I was a goner until I woke up in the dark, and this shimmering green metal was running all over me, stitching me back together. That's when I saw it, towering over me, a marking on the wall. Older than Gotham, older than civilization. The Bat behind the Bat! I needed to know more. There were people. They knew. The Owls knew. The lunatic crazy quilts knew. The Joker turns smirking and he comments to Duke. That pesky force field is reacting kind of oddly to your body, isn't it, Duke? Duke looks at him through the shock. You did this. I don't know how you did it. And the Joker leaps at him. Then you aren't listening! He pushes Duke and Hal through the field and he falls onto them. It's still in me! It's in you! All around us! The lights all go out and the Joker smiles, that twisted, evil, demented smile. Oh, I know how this story's going to end because it all happened before! Back in the journal, Carter's story continues. He spoke to the immortals and how they knew the tribes of men, but how they also knew of the arrival of a strange metal that had the ability to tear the reality of the universe. And it was a demon that rose out of that tear. It nearly conquered everyone. Carter and Shira didn't believe it, but they found the paintings. Countless of them in countless caves scattered around the world, each telling the same story. They spoke of the Hawk tribe, where Carter's story truly began, and they spoke of the betrayal and how the betrayer sided with the demon. The demon took the sigil of the great and terrible bat, the plague bringer, the source of mankind. That version of Carter and Shira died fighting it back, and they shut the door between the dimensions. Birds and bats, forever at war. The immortals told us to destroy the metal, but Carter wasn't going to quit on a mystery. He needed to know more, and he chose to challenge it using the wizard's lightning dagger. As they opened the abyss, they knew the mistake as the eyes looked back at them, waiting for something or someone. Meanwhile, Batman continues his journey looking for the information and the tools that he needs, and he comes across Talia al Ghul. She hands him a dagger, one with the power of the lightning and the markings of Shazam! Back in the Batcave, the Joker runs into it, and Hal and Duke give chase, finding him with a crowbar trying to destroy a machine that Batman has there. Hal asks, "Where's the joke in all of this?" And the Joker, without his trademark grin, looks at him. "This isn't funny!" And he cracks Hal across the jaw with his crowbar, asking him, "Don't you understand? This is what your alien bosses sent you here to stop! If he uses this machine, it'll be the beginning of the end!" Duke grabs the Joker, pushing him down, and he begins to punch the Joker as he smiles. "Don't you see, Duke? Don't you understand why Batman recruited you? There's something different about you. There's something in your blood that made Batman take notice. Something that he couldn't understand or see. Something that is in both you and your mom. Something. M-E-T-A. You're the signal, and I can't have that. So I'm gonna kill you now, Duke." Duke kicks the Joker and he throws himself backwards and he falls over the cliff. The Joker looks over the side of it to see where Duke went, and the signal goes dark. And now, to write the grand finale to this sordid tale, so that I can go back to the good old days. Bats and clowns, not bats and birds. Hal calls out to the Joker in the bat plane with Duke on the wing. "Hey Joker, even without my ring, I'm a decorated member of the United States Air Force, and your story time is over." Back in the journal, Carter explains that he left the journal in the hands of someone loyal to the birds, and with that he walked to his own end, into the multiverse to stop this, hoping someone will read this and not follow. Back in the Batcave, the Joker is pinned, telling them, "Free me! I'm trying to be the good guy here!" Duke feels weird as he places his hand on his mask. Something's getting closer, GL. And then a beam of light shoots out of him, knocking him off the plane. Hal jumps down for him, and as he saves him, he looks back to find the Joker gone. "Jordan!" Batman calls out as he walks in. "What the hell are you doing in my cave?" Of course, Hal and Duke want to know what's going on, so Batman explains. No use in hiding anything now. He looks at the machine, which is the machine that he used at the end of Batman's Missing Days, the Super Heavy storyline. He explains that it was his final invention, a device that would allow Batman to live on forever. But before he could finish it, he died at the hands of the Joker. If not for the metal, for the dynesium, he would be gone for good, and ultimately this machine brought him back to being Batman. But something happened. When he entered the machine, he saw versions of himself across the entire multiverse, dying. Nothing in the machine could have done that. It was the metal. A metal that he came across in every facet of his life. Duke looks at him. "Joker said you brought me in as an experiment." "The Joker lies, Duke. I brought you in here because I wanted to see what you were going to become." Batman then pulls out the Shazam knife. "This was supposed to be the end of all of this. I have the dimensional frequency of the dark energy locked, and with this dagger, I can see the truth of this mystery." Duke explains that the dagger is doing something to him. Batman tells him to focus his powers, and Hal gives Duke a loner Green Lantern ring. Using all of his vision powers and constructs, Duke reconstructs the very machine that Batman used to bring himself back to life. He sits in it with all of the artifacts here, and he sees into the darkness again, and as he collapses, Hal and Duke run over to see if he's okay. He tells them, "I don't understand. All I saw was darkness, but deep down, 3,000 miles beneath Gotham, something awakens. It calls out that he did it. He stared into the abyss. The seal is broken and the dark days are over. As the portal opens, we see inside something dark, evil, twisted. Something of the Bat Clan and demons. Something that should not exist. The Dark Knights are coming, and with them, the true father of Batman will arrive.
50,000 years ago, a lizard is running across the desert, and what he runs past are 3 symbols drawn into the sand. Symbols for the 3 ancient tribes. You see, lost to history is a story. A story of how in these lands, during the Age of Stone, there were 3 great tribes of man. Tribes of the wolf, of the bear, and of the bird. They all dreamt of discovery, growing their people and excelling in life. But there was a dark tribe. The 4th tribe that no one ever spoke of. And when they arrived, it brought the age of metal. The Justice League now stands before Mongol on its new war world. Mongol chuckles at the defeated heroes in their various sets of armor holding their weapons. Batman is the one to bring it up. Mongol was under watch by the Braillians after he teamed up with Zod to fight you, Superman. How did he build a war world? Superman tells him, focus, it doesn't matter, we have to get off this world first. Mongol explains that the armor that he has given them is weakening them. Superman's is made out of 1,000 crushed red suns. The Flash's boots are vibranium domination boots from the Dominators. And Wonder Woman is wearing a piece of armor infused with venom from a Gorgon to weaken her. A few toys and the heroes need to fight for real, huh? The toy man sitting next to Mongol as his prisoner just agrees. And Mongol tells them, it's time to go to war. The giant robots enter the battlefield to fight the League. Wonder Woman calls out a formation and the battle begins. Aquaman holds back one of the monsters while Cyborg gets pinned to the ground. Hal calls out to Aquaman, telling him, help me get this gauntlet off. The mini black hole inside is absorbing my ring's power. And Aquaman tells him he can't help him. The sleeves that he's wearing are made up of the fires of Apocalypse. The heat is dampening his abilities. But he suggested they try and have the creatures break the armor off of themselves. So Superman runs in using the shield that he has, trying to get them to break the breastplate. But he quickly notices that they avoid the armor and go right for the flesh. But Batman has an idea. He looks at the beast and he pulls his jaws apart and he looks deep inside. You know what he finds there? What's hidden inside of the monster here to kill him? A button with the bat symbol on it. So he presses that button. He calls out, everyone follow my lead! The beast has tentacles that come out and they wrap around Bruce and they begin to pull him inside. Flash and Aquaman see it happening and they call out that they need to help Batman. Otherwise, he's gonna need Aquaman's old harpoon hand. But Batman yells back, no! I said follow my lead, damn it! There are symbols in their mouths. Activate them. Let them eat you. And this is exactly what the Justice League does. And as they are each eaten, Cyborg calls out, you know, good plans don't hurt this much. Batman tells them, it's all Toyman's plan. He didn't want to be Mongol's prisoner, so he gave us a clue on how to fix this. It's in the name, Fulcrum Abdominis. It's a clue to come together as one warrior. Superman tells him, you've got to be joking. And Cyborg is excited. Please tell me you're not joking. But you know what, dear viewers? He's not kidding. We now have a Justice League, giant robot of war! Mongol sees them transform and he makes a break for it. So Flash asks, hey wait, why am I the foot? And Batman tells him, simple, Barry, so you can kick his. And well, you see, that's how the Justice League turned into a giant metal robot and they kicked Mongol's butt again. And as they approach Earth, Superman asks Batman, do you think the Braillians lost track of Mongol because of what you've been investigating, Bruce? Why did you come to the Fortress of Solitude and what happened in the Batcave? If you're curious about that, DC Metal started with 2 preludes, the casting and the Forge. The video and the links to the comics will be down below. Bruce, why don't you just tell me what's going on? And Batman informs Superman, I'm not ready. We need to figure this out first. Alfred calls up to Batman to inform him, well, it's Gotham, and he'll need the entire League to have a look at this. Because while they were gone, a very large mountain sprouted right in the middle of the city. It was followed up by a dark energy storm filled with dark lightning. So everyone was evacuated at least, but it caused billions of dollars in damage. While Batman orders Alfred to scramble the family, the League has a look and Green Lantern informs them that the energy coming off of the mountain is the energy of the machine that Hal found in the Batcave. Superman uses his X-ray vision to see what's going on and he finds it's hollow in the inside. So they send the Flash around the side of it where he finds a door. He looks at it and it has the symbol of an hourglass, and nothing the Cyborg runs on it gives him an answer as to what it is. They walk inside of the lab, and with the same mysterious energy crackling all throughout it, they all know that this is it. In the middle, there's a pod filled with more of that energy, and then they see a message. It's chasing us. Run! And that's when the Blackhawk team walks in. The League goes on high alert, but Batman stops them. This is the Blackhawk team, a covert apocalypse team. They've been watching me. And if you're curious about when Batman met them, check out Batman End of the World in All-Star Batman. Links to the comic and the video will be down below. Batman tells the League that he knows Lady Blackhawk, the leader of the team. But as she removes her mask, she reveals that while she is Lady Blackhawk, she's also Kendra Saunders. While none of them know her, she knows all of them and they need to come with her now. Superman and the Flash ask, why would they follow her with so much going on right here? And she tells them, because this is just the first shot of a full-scale invasion, one that's been planned for centuries. By who? I won't tell you here. The name is too dangerous. But come with me and I'll explain everything. There are places on this planet that lie outside of the normal math of things. Some exist at what we believe are phantom frequencies, spots where the cosmic energy conducted through the Earth's metal cancels itself out. Dinosaur Island, Themyscira, Skartaris, Nanda Parbat, and this place, Black Hawk Island. For years, it was the home base for one of the greatest detectives in history, Carter Hall. While our story sounds weird, centuries ago, he and I were stabbed with the dagger that was made up of a weird metal, and now we are constantly resurrected. We fought as partners for centuries, and Carter always looked for the answers to what that metal was. What started all of this for us? Well, here it is, nth metal. And this fragment is the last of the purest pieces left in the universe. The metal has given multiple people different powers, from eternal life, flight, mystical vision, and it defies all rules of science and magic. And it seems to broadcast this energy as well. Superman comments, "This is the energy that we felt in the mountain." And Kendra continues. She explains that Carter found other people who used it and were interested. Heroes, inventors, and adventurers who would challenge the unknown. They created a map of the multiverse and they explored everything that they could. They were looking for where this metal came from, and not a single universe in the multiverse is the origin of it. And then Kendra turned the map over to the black blank paper on the backside. Unless it came from here, a dark multiverse. Wonder Woman looks at it and says that all she sees is the back of a map. And Kendra continues, "Yes, that's all a lot of us saw until recently. We finally discovered that dark energy and dark matter make up a good portion of the universe. We just can't see or feel it. So look at this map and imagine the nth metal connecting us to a realm much older and vaster than ours." Flash, the one who knows the most about the multiverse, tells her, "If this is true, it'll change everything that we know about everything. What proof do you have?" Proof? Carter sent a team to the mountain and the entire thing was ripped out of reality. The last communications that we received from them was them screaming in terror, telling us to shut the door and never open it again. And a warning from Red Tornado that there was a thing called the Great Beast that prowled in the dark and had a name. Batman asks her what that name is, and she tells him Carter had a journal, one that's been lost ever since he followed the challengers into the dark. The name of the demon existed throughout eons, changing and evolving as the Dark Tribe prayed to the enemy of the bird, Barbados. The legend has it that he'll come through a human doorway, someone treated with the 5 divine metals, metals off of the periodic tables. And in my charts, I found another name, Wagon, which translates into Wayne. Batman, you are the one who will let the demon in. Superman stops her. Wait, your theory is a being as old as the universe has been targeting Batman for thousands of years from a dark multiverse? Kendra pulls a gun on Batman. "I'm sorry, but I've been following Carter's trail ever since he vanished. And now that Challenger's Mountain has appeared on your home turf, it's time to act." But that's when Red Tornado freaks out. "You open the door!" He breaks out of his tube and he begins to attack the League. "I warned you! He's coming for all of us!" He then begins to tangle with everyone and Kendra calls out, "Where's the nth metal?" And on the other side of the island, Batman is riding a dinosaur trying to get away. "Alfred, I got what I came for." But the Journal of Carter, the one that we covered in the casting in the Forge, didn't actually end there. There was another page. I told you how it all began. This story. Now let me tell you how it'll end. How it'll end if I'm wrong, and the dark is a place of evil as the Immortals and Kendra suspect. The end will begin with a shot fired from the dark. Something to tear a hole in reality. And then as dark energy pours into this world, the visions will start. Visions to those attuned to the power of the nth metal. A glimpse of what is coming, a dark army, already on its way here. On its way to find the one Barbados has been after all of these years. The wagon for the dark-horned god. The son of the House of Wayne. In the Batcave, Batman is looking over the medals while Alfred begs for him to tell the League what he knows. And if Wayne is prepared by the Judas tribe, if the agents of Barbados have set into motion his coming, then there will be no running for him, no running for any of us. Barbados has been after his target since the dawn of man. It first saw him in the final moment of crisis. And now, if you are reading this, a second moment is upon us. I have left this journal for you in your house, the house of the family that I trust most. Turn from the tribe bat to the tribe bird, the Waynes. It will make its presence known when it feels the dark energy. And I leave this for you to tell you one thing. I'm sorry for everything that's coming. Signed, Carter Hall. Batman walks upstairs into his study to follow the noise that is being made. And he finds the journal, the one from Carter, and all the evidence he needs. And then someone behind him speaks. Yes, Batman, it's true. and the nightmare has only begun. The world is set on a mission to find Batman. He's missing with the metal and he's trying to solve this himself. But the League just wants to help him, to assist in whatever is going on. They're trying to track Batman's heartbeat and the signal, and what they find is a group of people dressed as Batman. While they manage to stop most of them, Superman comes in grabbing one of them, telling him that he knows that this is the real Batman. Batman tells him, "Fine, I'll explain. I'm the doorway and I believe it. The first metal was Electrum, which I found in the labyrinth of the Court of the Owls. The second was Dynesium, when I fought the Joker to my own death and it brought me back to life. Promethium I used in the machine to revive Batman. And now the nth metal, which I exposed myself to when I was looking into the dark universe myself. There's only one metal left, and when it touches me, I'll be the doorway and I'll open up a path for Barbados to come into this universe." How do we stop it, Bruce? I don't think we can, Clark. It's happening now in Metropolis. All over the world. Metal's laced by the Judas tribe. Conductors are screaming out that Barbados is coming. There has to be another way, Bruce. And then he realizes something. And he punches a hole in Batman's chest. Batman turns back into Clayface as Superman is holding a transmitter. One that is displaying Batman's heartbeat live. Superman hears it and he tells Wonder Woman, Batman is scared. Meanwhile, in the Valley of the Kings, Batman is there with a little baby Darkseid from the Darkseid War in a pouch. The person who came to him has led him here, and as he vanishes, he tells Batman that if he fails, the Dark Army will arrive. And if that happens, go to the place of the Black Sun to call on him again. Batman calls out, "Dream! Tell me if what I'm doing is the right answer." But instead of Dream responding, Superman and Wonder Woman are there. They ask what he is doing, so Batman shows them Darkseid and he explains. Darkseid once sent me back in time, and that's when Barbados saw me for the first time. So I got Hawkman's mace, the only weapon to ever defeat him, and I'm going to have baby Darkseid send me back in time again. We have that adventure on the channel as well. I'll link it down below with everything else that's going on. Wonder Woman tells him, "You can't. The last time you only escaped because..." And Batman stops her. "Because Barbados wanted me to. This time I'm not coming back. Watch over my family and tell them to become better than I ever was. Tell them all I'm sorry." But sadly, this is all a trap set up by the Immortals. Batman thinks he's in the tomb of Khufu, but it's actually the tomb of Hathset. And as the dark energy begins to course through the tomb, the ancient priests of Barbados walk out. The members of the Court of Owls walk out as well, and they reveal themselves. The whole thing has been a setup to get Batman to this location, to be stuck with the last of the metal. Because it is here in these tombs that Batmanium lives! It pours out of his eyes and it begins to code Batman. Dark sadistic chanting begins as the Court of the Owls cries out, "Hail Barbados! He'll reward us! He'll chain the world and we shall rule them!" And the first thing that they see in our world are 3 Robins, but dark and twisted Robins, all pale and biting into the members of the Court of the Owls to eat them and chew on their insides. They chant, "Crow, crow, crow, crow!" And Superman and Wonder Woman look up to see where Batman stood and they ask the people, "Where is Bruce? What did you do to him?" And a dark voice, one of horror and nightmares, responds, "You want Bruce Wayne? Look around!" That's when we see the evil dark multiverse Batman, the Drowned, the Merciless, the Red Death, the Murder Machine, the Dawnbreaker, the Devastator, and the Batman who laughed. And as they all walk out, baby Darkseid looks up and points. Stop me if you've heard this one. Worlds will live. Worlds will die. But imagine if your every fear, every bad decision gave birth to a malformed world of nightmares. A world that shouldn't exist, and desperate as it fights to survive in the world of the true multiverse far above. Welcome to the dark multiverse, home to the stories that never should be. It's all one big cosmic joke, except no one is laughing on this side. Well, almost no one. Listen close. Now this is a story of a world's end, a world transformed. Witness the rise of the Dark Knight. On Earth -52, the world is ending. Bodies are being pulled up into the dark red sky of death, and the Flash is running through it shouting, "It's getting worse. Central City is coming apart. We shouldn't be fighting!" This may make you wonder, who is the Flash talking to? A lightning bolt hits down in front of him, stopping him, and as he dodges it, the fire scorches the earth to his side, while ice hits the other side of him. He turns back to this person. "This is bigger than both of us. We have to do something before it's too late." And the person he's talking to is someone desperate. Batman. And he has each of the rogue's tools, the cold gun, the weather wizard wand, the heat gun, and the mirror gun, all at his side. As usual, you're late, Flash. It's time for you to let someone else have the Speed Force. Batman, "I told you I won't give you the Speed Force. I've lost people I love too, but..." Batman raises the cold glasses. "Then you should understand. If you don't help me willingly, I'll make you." Flash begins to charge up his Speed Force. You know, the things I've done. The mistakes that I've made with these powers in the past. It's impossible to be everywhere at once. Batman looks back at him. Unlike you, I tried to be, and it cost me my family. And that's when we see a flashback of a graveyard of the Bat family dead. Flash runs up to him, so Batman leaps out of the way, going through a mirror with the Mirror Master gun to dodge him. Why do you think you're gonna succeed with the Rogue's weapons when they couldn't, Batman? And the Batmobile comes crashing through the wall. You're right. My toys are better. It didn't have to come to this, Flash. I asked for your help and you rejected me. If our roles were flipped, I would have used every tool at my disposal to get you what you needed. Metallic batarangs go flying through the air and the Flash dodges, telling him, I said no because your plans for the Speed Force are a dark path to run. I can see you hurting and desperate. Bullets begin to fly as the Flash continues to dodge. After my parents were murdered, I traveled the world to learn everything about science, martial arts, and the supernatural, to become Batman, but it wasn't enough. Not for Jason, Tim, Dick, and Damian. Gotham did what it always does. It takes and takes and takes. I need to find a way to stay one step ahead. Batman gets out of the Batmobile, throwing a gas grenade at the ground. And with each day, I feel myself getting older and slower. I need the Speed Force, Flash. Flash throws a lightning bolt into the gas, hitting Batman with all of it. He then stands over the fallen and defeated Batman. I'm sorry for what happened to your family. I am. But it won't end there. We have to figure out how to save everyone. Together. Batman tries to collect himself. You're right. You're a good friend, Flash. I could always count on you. And your compassion. He turns and freezes the Flash's leg in place, and then with one punch, he knocks him out. The Flash wakes up with his mask torn, asking, where am I? And then he realizes what Batman has done. He has chained the Flash to the front of the Batmobile, and he's driving at top speed as the Flash calls out, what are you doing? Batman explains, I studied your design for the cosmic treadmill, and I repurposed its engine to let me harness your connection to the Speed Force. I'm going to race into it and steal your connection. The Flash looks back, trying to turn his head with the chains holding him in place. Bruce, don't! The mistake I made when I vowed to my parents that I would save Gotham is that I was thinking too small, Barry. I should have promised to save the world. He hits the gas pedal to the floor and it roars as they begin to see the wall of the Speed Force breaking. Flash screams out, you can't access the Speed Force this way! You can't force it! It's going to rip us both apart! The lightning courses in front of them exploding and something twisted, something deranged begins to happen. I know, Barry. No! I'm sorry. Please, Bruce! But now we can save the world. Bruce! And their faces begin to tear apart as Bruce tells him, together. Flash looks back at him with nothing more than a skull. You can't give up like this, Bruce. There's hope, Bruce. There's always. With that, they are both torn to pieces. Across Gotham City, every rogue in Batman's gallery is suddenly and quickly torn apart and killed. Because no longer is there Batman. No longer is there Flash. There is something else. And as he kills every villain at a speed unheard of in Gotham, he tells himself, and himself, my name is Bruce Wayne. But there's another voice in his head. No, Bruce, don't kill! I'm vengeance. Stop this, Bruce! I am justice. Stop this, Bruce! Don't! I am Batman, Red Death. Please, Bruce, stop! Before, I used to spend so much time alone on the rooftops, dwelling on my actions, but now I don't have to think twice about the Speed Force. It released me. I have saved Gotham, and now I will save the world. I finally have all of the time that I need. But the whole time, the voice in the back of his head, the voice of Barry Allen, is telling him to stop this. And regardless of saving Gotham, Batman finally sees the larger problem as Wayne Tower begins to fall at the end of the world. He looks up to see the sky is torn apart. The world is breaking apart, and I'm not fast enough to save it. But there's something deep down that hopes that I can do it, that I can save everyone. And another voice speaks, the one of the Batman who laughs. Even if it means the destruction of another world, would you sacrifice others to save yours? Barry pulls himself free of Bruce for a second. Bruce, it's Barry, stay away from him, don't listen. But Bruce shakes his head, pulling Barry back inside, reaffirming his connection to the Speed Force. What? Who are you? Someone very much like you. Someone who lost his world simply because it was born down here. Our worlds aren't meant to last. They're destined to die. It's a cruel law of nature in this place. You can feel it yourself, can't you? Your time was meant to end. But what if I told you that there was a world far, far above that was destined to live? Batman puts on his mask, asking, tell me more. Over on Earth Zero, the first world of the multiverse, the evil Batmen of the multiverse have now all arrived in issues 1 and 2 of Metal, which we have on the channel. You can watch it, I'll link it down below. Each of those Batmen has now run off to handle their own affairs, and in Central City, Iris and Wally are getting lunch when they see the red comets hitting the ground. Then glowing red bats appear around them, and Red Death stops in front of them. He looks at them. The Flash's family. The Barry Allen in his head tells him, don't hurt them. His love. His sidekick. Iris, run! Red Death walks over to her. The last speedster to hurt my nephew ended up dead, so I don't care how scary your mask is. Leave him alone. Wally looks over at her, aging in front of her eyes. There's something wrong with the Speed Force. I'm so slow. And then Iris gets hit as well, and they both begin to age rapidly. Around them, the city crumbles as they hold on to each other. This world's Flash will understand in times of crisis that there must be a sacrifice. And then the heroic voice of the Flash can be heard. I don't know who you think you are, but there won't be any sacrifices in my city. Red Death begins to race down the city, and the Flash runs right behind him. Running is sort of my thing, so there's no use in trying to escape. Once upon a time, I was jealous of yours and Clark's little races, but now it won't matter. Flash quickly sees that something is off as the glowing red bats swarm around him. Your drift, those bats! He hits the ground in pain. Everything hurts! I feel old.
There will be no more racing, Barry.
That voice. Bruce? Is this what happened after you left Black Hawk Island? Red Death raises his fist into the air. If there's any part of you inside of that armor, Bruce, then you're still my friend, and I can rely on your compassion. Red Death pauses. What? But behind Flash, the symbol of Dr. Fate appears, and he grabs and pulls Flash out of the fight. Red Death looks at the symbol.
Go ahead and run, Flash. It won't save you. I'm gonna turn your city into the one that I lost.
The city begins to crumble and turn red and change. And as the Barry inside of Bruce shouts, no! Bruce tells him,
it will become my Gotham. So let me tell you a secret. All it takes is one bad day. One moment that should never have happened. The ground beneath you starts to crumble, and trust me, I know firsthand. All of us do. But one bad week, it can kill a multiverse. On Earth Zero, the first world of the multiverse, there's a ringing going off, and Cyborg asks his father,
what's that ringing? Silas Stone, Cyborg's father, explains that it is one of the dozens of alarms going off in Star Labs. They go off every day. Cyborg tells his father that he has to get out of Star Labs. Right now, something serious is happening. Some kind of invasion. Cities are falling. And Silas tells his son, that's exactly why I'm staying here, to figure it all out. It's about that metal, right? The one that you found with the Blackhawks? Cyborg tells him that it is, and they continue to talk about it for a moment, and then Silas asks if he is safe. Cyborg tells him that he's in the Watchtower, floating over the Earth. He is very safe. And then he explains that they lost Gotham to a giant mountain, and now Central City is changing, becoming a place filled with red skies and destruction. He's worried that Detroit will be next. They agree to swap information, and Cyborg sees a ping. There's a beeping going off and a screen indicating that Batman has arrived at the Watchtower. He gets up to go check on it, and he sees the familiar outline of Batman. But this isn't the Batman that Cyborg knows as he shocks him to the ground.
Don't worry, Cyborg. I'm here to help.
But this isn't the version of Batman that began this tale. The murder machine didn't appear out of thin air. No, it began in the dark multiverse months ago on Earth -44. On this world, Alfred was captured by some of the worst villains in the DC universe. Two-Face asked him where Batman was, and Alfred asked him, who is Batman? There must be another way I can be of service. The villains laughed as Alfred was lifted into the air and had his back broken by Bane. That laughter echoed in Batman's head as he watched the video over and over, because this is how Alfred died. Clark walked up behind Bruce, telling him, watching the death of the man that was your father isn't healthy. And Bruce turns to him. I'll tell you what isn't healthy, Clark. It's not healthy to stand here, knowing that the man who raised me like a father is upstairs in a casket with 36 broken bones. That we couldn't even have an open casket because he was beaten to a pulp, 6 feet from where we're standing. It's not healthy to know that he'll never be here again, and that it's my fault, Clark. Clark looks at him. But now you have the responsibility of honoring him by putting him to rest. What happened to Alfred was horrible, and the rest of us are going to go upstairs for his wake. I hope that you join us. But as Victor Stone of this universe was leaving, Bruce stopped him. A few years ago, I began to scan Alfred's mind to create an artificial intelligence that might outlast him, but it was never finished. I called it the Alfred Protocol. What are you asking me, Bruce? I can't bring it online by myself. I need your help. Please, Vic. I need him. He was like a father to me. Back in the present day, on Earth Zero, Silas hadn't actually hung up, and he was hearing all of this go on, and the Batman decided to say hello.
You know, your son Victor was one of my closest friends. He helped me when no one else would. He reunited me with my father after I thought I'd lost him. It was strange, I admit, seeing Cyborg again.
Don't hurt him. I can help you. I'll give you whatever you want. And Batman replies, telling the computer,
Mute transmission. Your father will learn his role soon enough, as will you, Cyborg.
Batman makes a blade and begins to stab into Cyborg. And as he's about to come down to end this universe's Cyborg, he gets up punching him. I don't know who you are or why you're pretending to be Batman, but you're not getting anywhere near my father. With one hand, Batman blocks the blast, and then he takes his other arm, turning it into tentacles, and he begins to hack into the watchtower.
You always understood the connection that I had with my father, Cyborg. And with your help, I never had to be separated from him again.
Then holographic versions of Alfred begin to appear around Cyborg. How may I help you? He asked as he reached out with the blast hitting Cyborg. Back on Earth, -44, a month ago. Those data versions of Alfred asked the same question of Bane. How may I help you? But this isn't one version. This was many of them, and they surrounded Bane, the man that murdered him, as he was begging, pleading to just let him leave, let him live. His death, it wasn't fast. Back at the Batcave, Cyborg asked Bruce what was going on, and the data versions repeated in the Bat computer. Ring the bell, sir. Let me in. Bruce explained that the data Alfred was trying to protect him. It was trying to take away everything that hurt him and systematically murder every single inmate of Arkham. Cyborg tells him, the point of this was to make an AI that would stitch you up and make you dinner. We have to turn this off. I agree, Cyborg. He's doing this to protect me. If I just let him into the Batcave, I can reprogram him. No, Bruce, you can't. This is a hungry virus looking to spread and feed. Bruce looks up. I already lost him once, Vic. I can make him better. I can keep him. Look, Bruce, I'm gonna figure out a way to break through. Whatever you do, don't let him in. Do not let the Alfred protocol into the Bat computer. And as he walked out of the cave, Bruce could hear the virus asking him, let me in, sir. Ring the bell. Let me help you, sir. Back on Earth Zero, Batman, now patched into the entire Watchtower system, explained.
You were wrong, Vic. The best thing that I ever did was let him in. I still remember my fear when they surrounded me. I realized my plan wasn't going to work. I would not be able to reprogram them in time. They grabbed me, spread throughout my body, and I screamed in fear. That was the first thing that my father fixed in me. He took my fear away, and then my sadness, and then my weak human flesh. He rebuilt me.
And using the villain's monologue, Cyborg leaps up, blasting the Data Alfred in the face. And as he drops Data Alfred, he tells Batman, I've been outmaneuvering every attempt you've made to enter our computers in the last few minutes. You aren't getting into the Watchtower. I built this. If anything, you've opened yourself up to me. And the Batman looks down on him.
I don't have any weaknesses to exploit, Cyborg. My father built me that way. I'm sorry your father didn't do the same for you. You failed to see that I had no interest in your systems. I was gaining access to the Star Lab systems in Detroit. In an instant, you have crippled your nation's military and given me Detroit to reshape as I see fit.
And down in Detroit, the Alfred protocol is running rampant, destroying everything and killing everyone. Cyborg screams out, no! And he begins to blast more of the Data Alfreds, and Batman looks at him.
I'm sorry, Victor, but how could you stop me here when you couldn't stop me in your own world? Once I became one with my father, you gathered the League to fight me, but I killed them all until you were the last man standing.
And then we see back on Earth, -44. The Cyborg there was trying to reason with Batman, tried to argue with him. He told him that he knows that he doesn't want to become a murder machine. And Batman told Victor,
I am exactly who I want to be. My father was the only one there for me, and everyone else is a weakness. A weakness I'm willing to shed.
And then he tore Cyborg's head off of his body.
This should have been a great beginning, but the cruel trick of the multiverse is that my world was destined to die. So I learned of another world and a man who would allow me to leave the world I was on.
Cyborg on Earth Zero tries to take a swing at Batman, but that's when he's grabbed from behind by a massive hand with claws.
I'll unmute your father now, Victor. I want him to hear this.
Then Cyborg looks up to see all of the evil Batmen. And his father is forced to listen as they each beat into him, tearing off his limb, leaving nothing but lumps of flesh. They leave him with broken circuitry and blood. And the whole time his father is forced to listen to this. And once he is beat, Batman hangs up the call as another one walks out of the shadows. The Batman, who laughs. The man telling us the tales of horror and terror. He leans down as Cyborg asks him, why?
The truth is,
We're only here because the world is dark enough to dream us into existence. Because deep down, it needed us to protect them from themselves. We all heard it, echoing through the cosmos. The great ringing. And we came, not with a question of how to help you, but the answer. And over in Arkham Asylum, the Riddler sits within his cell as he hears the crackdoom of lightning outside. All throughout the asylum, he hears the crow, crow, crow of some creatures coming for him. As the walls crumble, a voice can be heard, one that is familiar, yet terrifyingly different. Edward Nygma, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is impossible. You see my height, my builds. You hear my voice, and you know who I am. You know I am Batman. But also that I am not. You know that I am something twisted and wrong and that terrifies you. But you shouldn't be afraid, Edward. You should be excited. I didn't come all this way to fillet you like I did in my world. I came here to deal with you. Edward is terrified as the Batman who laughs holds a card in front of his face. What kind of game are you playing? No. Your thinking is all wrong. You get to decide that for yourself. All your life you lived by a set of absolute truths, hard and fast rules that can never be broken. Well, with this card, the rules, they are broken. And you and your friends can reshape reality as you see fit. Take the card, join the fun, build the city into an impossible riddle that makes me laugh. Meanwhile, outside of Gotham, Damian Wayne is soaring in on Goliath, his pet. He looks down at what was once Gotham only to see a city covered in smoke and a mountain, and he worries. While the Teen Titans watch from their aircraft, Damian thinks to himself, when I last saw my father, he told me about the dark multiverse, an impossible place of nightmare beyond his or anybody's understanding. A place from which a threat was coming that would tear down our entire world. And then I saw something in his eyes that I'm not used to. The fear of not knowing what would be hiding in the dark. The last thing he told me was to not follow him under any circumstance. A day later, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman vanished from the face of the earth. I refuse to let Gotham fall. If Batman is in there, only I could save him. And the Teen Titans during this ended their discussion asking if Robin had them on a suicide mission. They land in the burning rubble that was once the street, and they look around trying to save as many civilians as they can. In front of them is a wall, and Aqualad tells Robin, stop! We have to do this as a team, don't go in there alone! But Damian tells him, I have to do this. I picked up a signal in this door, and if it is Batman, I have to go. He runs through the doorway without his team, when the voice of the Riddler can be heard. Have you heard of Pharaoh Imhotep II? Damian runs without a thought, shouting, show yourself! Where can I find Batman? And in front of him is nothing but a labyrinth with doors all painted with a giant question mark on them. He opens up the door yelling, fight me! And blood pours out, pushing Damian back as the Riddler informs him, I am fighting you and anyone else who breaks into Gotham. This maze is my weapon. As Damian is being washed away with a river of blood, an arrow flies over his head and someone shouts, grab hold! So Damian grabs the rope and sees that it's Green Arrow pulling him out of the mess. He asks why Green Arrow is even here, and Arrow explains that he came here when he heard the Big Three went down. There was an energy storm over in Gotham, and when he entered, everything started to change around him. At that moment, a ball and chain with spikes on it swings between them, and Damian runs off telling him, I don't need any help from a second stinger like you. Of course, Green Arrow falls behind him, telling him, I've been leaving arrows behind to mark where I've been. Down this particular path is a quicksand moat and a trapdoor pit of fire. Damian corrects him. There's a strong magnetic pull over there and it's pulling your arrow, which means you went down that hallway, not this one. The two continue down the twisted and deranged hallways built by the Riddler until they find a man in a cape and a cowl who looks oddly like Batman. But this Batman tells him, you failed me, Robin. I needed you, and you weren't there. You weren't fast enough. I'm dead because of you. That's when we see that this Batman is a zombie-looking Batman, a decaying away as we speak. Green Arrow tells Damian to get behind him because this isn't what he thinks it is, and Damian tells him, I know, it's a nightmare drawn out of my mind. And that's when Croc grabs this Batman biting into him, and Harley Quinn leaps in swinging her mallet to finish off the zombie Batman. Damian and Arrow then asks why they're there, and Harley Quinn tells her that her and Croc are on a top-secret government team kind of thingy to stop things like this. Plus, she and Croc couldn't see their home turf fall. She holds up the arrows, looking at Green Arrow, asking, are these yours? I've been collecting them all over the maze. He facepalms, realizing that he now has no way of tracking where he's been. And then Harley informs them that they found the exit a while ago. So follow them! What they discover is a giant, robotic-looking Minotaur with the Riddler riding in it in a cockpit. The Riddler tells him, you've cheated! 2 of you were lost in the maze and the other 2 couldn't solve the riddle. You can't team up! He spouts the riddle, though. If you throw me from a window, I'll leave a grieving wife. If you bring me back in the door, you'll see someone giving life.
He then begins to swing the mighty weapon that he has with his robot, and as Green Arrow, Harley Quinn, and Croc begin the fight, Arrow tells Damian, "Kid, you're the genius, time to prove it." So Damian puts it together. A grieving wife is a widow. Someone who gives life is a donor. Remove one letter and the donor becomes door, and one letter and widow becomes window. All because of one letter, N. And as he says the answer, he flings his batarangs into the cockpit, and the whole suit crumbles as the answer has been given. Damian demands answers as to where Batman is, and then he knocks out the Riddler as Green Arrow picks up a card. The card itself is made out of a strange metal, just like the one that Green Arrow found at the Court of the Owls a month ago while he was in Gotham. And he begins to wonder, did this metal give Nigma his powers? But Harley is the one who points to the exit, and they all step outside into the snowy part of Gotham. Damian points in the direction of the signal, and he states that this is where it's coming from. Batman must be over there. And then they see someone running towards them, and Damian hopes that it's his father, but it is in fact his brother, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and he's being chased by a frost golem. The group joins in battling against this thing, but it grabs Nightwing, crushing him into the